some sort of activism work on its own because we are bringing out information for the people. So who are you?
Okay, my name is Funeka Soldat. I'm staying here in Makazi. This is my home. I'm the former member of Regenda and the co-founder of the organization. I'm an activist focusing on issues of homophobia, especially towards black lesbians, especially in the townships.
Okay, you said former member of Regenda. I don't like.
I formed Regenda in 2008 as a group after the death of Solution Ongonya, the black lesbian, a 19-year-old that was killed in Kailage. Then started the organization because most of the people that used to go to court were people outside Kailage. And lesbians in the township were scared to go to court because they were scared that they can be identified and then they can be victimized when they go to the township. And for me, that was like a very scary thing, because if lesbians in Kailage can't be visible, so which means you are enforcing the myth that black lesbians don't exist. So it was so crucial that I formed a space for black lesbians in order that they have to respond to the case, because the case happened in Kailage, and then it was not the first one, because the first one happened in 2005, and then the first one, really there was nobody to follow up the case. Then we didn't want the same thing happen to 2006. And then from then, the organization grew so much. And then after 10 years of celebration last year, and then this year I took a decision that I have to let the young lesbian to take over. But it doesn't mean that I'm an activist. It's just I'm moving this myself out of Regenda this year.
So you're more of an overseer now, while the younger people can take care of the activism.
Exactly, I think this is the time, really. It's a time that that young lesbians have to take over, and they have different interests, like the interests that we have before, and maybe they will take the organization in another direction. And another thing is that I think in also my time, it's really, I think now I'm 60 years old, I can't really be around kids anymore. So I think that's just that.
Okay. The project in itself, Kamalang, My Sexuality is Not a Phase, and when I approached you, there must be a reason why you said yes to this project. So how do you resonate with the line, My Sexuality is Not a Phase?
I remember, I think it was 25 to 35, something like that. But sometimes people, they always not really show off my age. When I'm telling people about my age, they always like. So I remember I was in the radio when they told me that no, Funeka, they are just people that are just confusing the young people, because when they are going to be growing up, they will be proper women according to the society. So all the years when I started to be involved, radio or whatever, always that came to people's mind, that it's either I was disappointed by men, it's either I didn't get a good person to do whatever that person was supposed to do to me as a woman. So in time I would be a proper woman. It means that I would be a straight woman. But it never. From now until now, I'm going to be 60. I'm still myself. I never change for anything. So for me, that's why for me your project was really it really related to some of the things that I'm aware of that's happening and that's still happening.
So, your sexuality, one, how do you identify? And two, when was the time where you were like, I know this is who I am? And how was that journey for you?
I mean, to my sexuality. Oh my God, when did I figure? I mean, that was just really, really a long time ago and a frustrating time. Because I grew up in the township from a very conservative family, and for me, I like tradition. I like everything still today. But when those feelings overwhelmed me, I think I was at school. Um, I think that was the frustrating thing in my life, because I felt there was something wrong with me. I mean, most the people that I'm exposed to, I mean, they even inside at home, even outside home, were dating opposite people. And for me, I'm just having these scary feelings towards women. I tried to follow what the norm was set up for. I mean, when I was at school, to start dating men, but it never works sometimes, because I didn't understand why it didn't work anyway in that time, because there was nothing on the TV that I can relate to. There was no newspapers around that I can read. So me, it was just a very frustrating time. And for me, I believe that women have to be with men. That was my belief for years ago. But when these things happened to me, I felt like, yeah, maybe I'm sick or something. I hope at that time I would have trust my family enough, or trust myself enough, that I have to share with them how I feel, in order that then I can get a response from them. But unfortunately, it didn't work like that. But through my struggles, through everything, later I become comfortable of who I am. Whereas I paid daily, mostly with my life, for being comfortable of who I am. I think from then, that was a comfortable struggling, something that people don't want to hear about, and at the same time something that I'm comfortable with. So it was a painful and a happy thing, because I was happy with me knowing who I am, but it was also frustrating because the society didn't accept it.
So it was scary way before it was comfortable, because when it got comfortable, because now you know yourself. So knowing yourself is the key.
For me, knowing myself was a very, very key, because once I know myself, I stopped being confused. It ended to be the society that became to be confused. But for me, I was clear who I am and what I want. And that was the way that was one thing that I was prepared to die for, because that's who I am. It's nothing that I can change about myself. It's important for a person to, I believe for a person, it's important for a person to come out on himself or herself. That's very important, because it makes you a little bit to focus a little bit when you're out to yourself. But coming out to the world, I mean, you have to be very comfortable to be aware. If I come out to the community, what's going to happen to me? You lose family, you lose friends, you lose everything. So you must be prepared of that. So you have to be very comfortable about yourself, but you have to take a very, very critical look if you want to come out to the world. Love for me it's about freedom. It's about freedom. It's about compromise. It's about love. It's about crying. That's love for me.
Love is freedom. Okay.
You see, for me, getting married, I get married in 2011. That's when I get married. I spent 5 years with my partner before I get married. And marriage at that time is like, because you follow sometimes the rules of marriage with an open mind, if you are comfortable about yourself. But at the same time, the way you handle love, it's supposed to be the way you handle marriage. Marriage is about freedom, it's about everything. But now you can't. There's nothing else. It's about love. But when marriage become like you treated marriage about celebrity and the show off, that's how the marriage is going to fall apart, because the basics, the simple basics of marriage, it have to be love, unconditional. Because the situation that people are in now, I think that's why sometimes it puts so much to marriage. There's a lot of conditions, the material conditions, especially the so-called butch lesbian now. It's about the power people that they want to show. How many girls that I can approach, whatever. So as long as we marriage, and other thing, people now are trying to push the boundaries. You see, just to break the law, to break the norms, so you can have another person while you are married. So that's how people are doing, and really that's going to be a continuation of other people going to be hurt or whatever, because sometimes people don't explain to other why this thing that we're involved in, I'm in because of this and this and that, in order that the other one must be comfortable in that setting. So one day I will get someone. So you must be aware when you get in that setting that okay, so and so is going to get someone else again. And someone, I get to this, I can't be involved with someone that's not working, that's not doing this, that's not doing this. Then those are the things that you have to explain to someone. Then, because all these things is about communication. Once you communicate it openly, in other one person have to make a decision. I want to be part of that. But these days it's not happening like that. So that's why people are going to continue to be hurt. You see, the one thing that I know, especially as my really focus is on lesbian issues. For me, I believe in one thing: as long as patriarchy is still alive, there's no way that lesbian can be free. That's the only one thing that stands in our way. That's patriarchy. My wish one day will be that all women of South Africa, all women, because there are other women that they support patriarchy, because patriarchy can't survive if it's not supported. It survives because someone supported. So one day, if all women of South Africa can say no to patriarchy, that is the day where lesbian will be free in this country. That's the only one way.
So patriarchy is killing us.
It's a mess. You kill patriarchy, you kill any inequalities.
Because even GBV, it comes from
patriarchy.
Okay. If you could change anything in your past, what would it be? What would it be, and why? To go back and correct something in your 60 years of life.
I don't think there is one thing that I would have changed my life, because I believe that everything that happens to my life was preparing me to be who I am today. So there was nothing. I've gone through life to all the season of the there was summer, there was winter, there's been autumn, there's been spring in my life. So preparing me for who I am today. So there's nothing that I would have changed.
Okay. Do you have children?
No. Yeah, that's one thing that it never comes to my mind when I was young. It never comes to my mind. I think when I started to be a little bit too mature to be aware of what's going on, it was the time when I was really fighting with myself. What's going on? Who's there? What's there? What's going on? So there was no any space for me to think about something else. Even to have a partner, that was really something. I think I've become involved. You see, when we grew up, and then it's when I have my first experience with a woman. I was doing grade 12, standard 10 at that time. And that's where my confusion started, because really I became comfortable with this person, and I didn't know what that's really meant. And anything that I was doing with her, I don't know how did I know those things? It just happened. So that was the confusion. So there was no space for me to think about that. I've seen now women, lesbians are having kids in different ways without sleeping with people. And that's a good thing, but it never comes to my mind. Because I have nothing. I don't have any issue about kids, but really there was no space for that to think about.
Do you think then the kids that are following you now, seeing you as a mentor, could then you feel like, okay, you've at least raised the nation some child because you've been mentoring people?
Sometimes that's what people are always saying to me, that just because I love sometimes the free gender kids from free gender, especially any young lesbians. I create a space for them in my place and all the time. And sometimes I even my wife, when she's dead, she will always laugh and saying that I know there's only competition I have in you. It's free gender. Maybe some other people that I'm replacing that with them, because I really, when they are around, they make my life very easy, and really they're just part of my life. Maybe it's that, but I don't know. I just love them. And sometimes there will always be a misunderstanding between or a discrimination between the lesbians that have children and the lesbians that they don't have children. Sometimes in the organization we always give a space for lesbians that have kids, that they have to talk about their kids, which sometimes they make others comfortable. But now at least they've managed to accept that among other lesbians that I have in their children. So it's my relationship with kids. It's just that, but me with the kids, no, I don't have it. Just free gender, I think mostly, especially in Kailicha, it's very easy to know free gender, because it's the only black lesbian organization that's based in Kailicha, and we're working with different organizations, or most of the organization. But the one thing that we specialize more, we put pressure on, was especially the issue of hate crime and the issue of rape, which is still happening even today. So we build the relationship with all the 3 police stations in order that anything that's happening towards lesbians, the police have to if they have difficulties, they have to interact with the station, with the organization. Sometimes we have meetings with subs and engage when we are not comfortable the way they handle our cases. So that's why we make it sure if you go to the police station, you go to Simelela, then you have an access to the organization. But some of the organization, when something happens, they call the organization. So it's very easy in that way to access. At mid, I think they're on Facebook, they're on blog, they're on Twitter.
What advice then do you have for the younger queer person who is trying to figure themselves out, who is going through that stage of fear and not being able to come out to themselves? Because like you said, it's more important for you to be coming out to yourself than it is for anyone else. And secondly, then the parents who are failing to accept their children, what would you say to those people?
There are organizations, at least now these days, are organizations like Trying Project, Free Gender itself, the social development. I think they a little bit are trying to catch up the social development for people. People go for that's families. There's about the family counseling center with your parents. You go for counseling. And you check organizations like Free Gender to be part of it, because for us it's not necessarily to give the people advice. It's just to give a space for people in order that they have to figure out how to get out of something, because you can't give an advice for someone because you are not in that person's shoes, because you can get counseling here, but at the end of the day, you have to figure it at home by yourself. So it's just to give a person skills and develop a person in order that when that person is facing home or is outside, then you have to figure out how to deal with them. Because really it doesn't work. That's why sometimes as black people, sometimes as lesbians, we struggle to go for those counseling. Because people like, when you go for counseling, there's no too much engagement. There's no talking. There's nothing. It's just you get that person, and then that person is listening what you are saying for an hour, 2 hours, and then you have to go home. You become more miserable than ever. So that's why it's nice to have a space like Free Gender, because Free Gender, we have people that are coming from they will experience the same thing. So when you engage them, you become to be a little bit aware of what's going on. And then later on in time, we find that same person trying to assist the others to how to go through, because she has experienced the issue before by herself.
So it's like a gift that keeps on giving, because someone uyancedwa and then akwazi naye uncedo ngezandla ziyagezana. Okay, is there anything that you have in mind that you would like to share then before?
I think the one thing that I want to say, especially to black young lesbians, just to write their own stories. No, not to wait for someone to write your story. Write your own story, because when you are not there anymore, the other person's got to write your story, and that person can write your story differently. So please, let's try to write our stories, not let other people to write our stories. There's a lot of stories of corrective rape happens in communities, but those stories are not written by ourselves, are written by other people. I think that's the time that really we have to write our own stories. I've done that, and I'm okay, hoping there will be another person that can do that.
Okay.
Thank you.